Hello, welcome to another video. Today I've popped down to a little spot in North Wales that I know to do a little bit of herping. Now this is one of my favourite places. It's a relatively well-known site. I'm pretty confident we're going to get some lizards today, and if we're lucky we'll see some snakes too. So we're going to go and give it a go. It's probably worth just saying as well, I know travelling is unwise at the moment, but this isn't actually a massive journey for me. And I'm actually not going to see anyone at all in any way today, I imagine. I've even filled the car up so I can do it all there and back on one journey. I'm not going to have to see another person, so no worries there. Let's get stuck in and see how we do. The first find of the day wasn't a reptile at all, but a smooth newt in its juvenile eft or terrestrial stage. Although generally a nocturnal species, while in their terrestrial phase these animals can be found in the day by flipping logs and rocks. This is exactly how I found this one. The eft stage of a newt comes after it has metamorphosed out of its juvenile larva form and come out onto land. This is how the newt will live before it returns to an aquatic lifestyle as an adult and is able to reproduce. I then found the first reptiles of the day with its adult female and 3 baby slowworms, which I quickly covered back up as the young looked to have been born very recently and I wanted to minimise disturbance. I then managed another slowworm with this beautifully marked male before moving on to search for a different species of lizard. When you're searching edge habitat like this, it's a great place to find stuff, but you'll notice here, if I'm going this way, my shadow is in front of me, so that's going to potentially scare anything in touch, cover any lizards or snakes that I might see. And so really you should always try and work the other way, so that your shadow is behind you and you spot things before it spooks off your shadow. Just a little tip there. Not 100% on the idea of this one. Any dragonfly people, feel free to correct me in the comments. Next, I visited a fence line which is often used by common or viviparous lizards to bask in the morning sun, and it proved very productive. I also apologise for some shaky camera work on my part. I was using a long lens to minimise disturbance, and so keeping steady in the wind was tricky. Common lizards are one of our most abundant reptiles and have a vast global distribution. In our country, they have a lifespan of approximately 5 to 6 years and grow to around 10 centimetres excluding the tail. Females, such as the one shown here, are usually more of a drab brown colour and exhibit very few speckles, whereas the males can be quite speckly and are more variable in colour. I'd like to stress at this point that although lizards such as these and slowworms are easy to catch, much more enjoyment can be gained from simply observing them go about their natural behaviours from a distance, safe in the knowledge that these animals are much less frightened and disturbed. As I mentioned before, these lizards have a vast home range, and can be found from Ireland to Japan and then north up to 350 kilometres within the Arctic Circle. Slowworms were once again prevalent and a notable amount of juveniles were found. Aside from size, juvenile slowworms can be distinguished due to the dark dorsal stripe they exhibit, a marking which is lost before reaching adulthood. Many of these specimens may be last year's young, however with it being well into September it's also possible that some of these are this year's newborns. The next sheet of tin I flipped had this lovely juvenile barred grasssnake under it, my first of the year. Well, I've just tucked myself down into this little bush here to try and get out the wind, so hopefully this audio works a bit because it's quite windy up here. We've just got my first little grass snake of the year, barred grass snake, Natrix helvetica. Now, I know that I stress in these videos a lot the value of not picking things up and not touching things and leaving them and just enjoying them in situ. However, I think potentially there's an opportunity here for me to talk about and dispel some bad handling practices, because I don't want to preach at anybody, but I know there's potentially a lot of people that want to do right by these animals and enjoy them, but they just don't really know the right way to do that, which is fair enough. So first of all, the grass snake isn't a dangerous snake to humans. It poses very little threat. It's not venomous at all. It's not rear fang venomous, if everyone tells you that. There's no venom apparatus whatsoever. So all it could do is give a little pinprick of a bite, but realistically that won't happen. These snakes have a lot of behavioural responses, a lot of defence mechanisms before they'll do that. First of all, just like any other snake, they'll flee. They'll try to get away, try and sort of leave the situation and get away from the predator. Secondly, if that doesn't work, they'll do what's known as musking, which anyone who's ever caught a grass snake will know a lot about. Musking is where they secrete a foul smell, and it's called musk, from the cloaca, the vent of the snake. And believe me, that is enough to deter a lot of predators. It's a very, very pungent smell and will put a lot of things off. Thirdly, if that doesn't work, the snakes will use, they'll try and play dead, a behaviour known as thanatosis. Now, if you're handling a grass snake and it gets to that point, you've probably gone too far and you need to let it go, because as you see, they very rarely do that. It's a bit more common in juveniles, such as this one, but they don't really feel the need to do that. As long as you support them, they're absolutely fine. And only if all three of those defence mechanisms don't work will they ever take a bite. And I've never personally known one to do that. I'm just scared of saying they never bite, because, you know, you can never predict wild animals. So to that end, there's absolutely no need ever to dangle the snake by the tail and think, you know, it's going to come up and bite you. No need to do that, and there's certainly never any need to take a snake like this behind the head. There would never be a situation where that's necessary. The bones around a snake's neck and head are very, very sort of fragile, and you don't want to hurt them. So long as you support the snake nicely like this, it'll calm down, and it's nice and safe. However, personally, I don't think you should handle these snakes. I have done it because I wanted to say this, because people are going to pick grass snakes up, and I see it all the time, and you see it on YouTube especially, bad handling practice. And a lot of the times it's people who like snakes, they just don't know what they're doing, because, you know, there's not that much information out there. So I just wanted to say that, and then you can enjoy these snakes in the wild. You can see this one, he's calmed right down. He did have a musk, they always do, so my clothes and hands are going to smell now, but as soon as I realise you mean them no harm, absolutely fine. But enjoying these guys in situ, not touching them, just watching them do their thing is far better, and that's what I usually do. Hope that helps.
Grass snakes are our longest snake, reaching lengths of up to 1.5 or even in some cases 2 metres. These semi-aquatic snakes are also our only oviparous or egg-laying snake. In this country, grass snakes usually lay their eggs between May and August into rotting plant material, rotting logs or down burrows. For this reason, grass snakes often turn up in allotment owners' compost heaps, as the increased temperature here is perfect for incubating their clutch. Here, we return the snake to the exact felt under which it was found. Slowworms continue to prove numerous, with juveniles making up the majority of specimens. These two adults were probably the largest of the day, and both still had complete tails, something that's rare in older specimens. The next sighting was of a pheasant, a non-native bird which is known to prey on our native herpetofauna, so its presence here is bad news for our reptiles and amphibians. This clip shows that common lizards do use refugia and can be found underneath felts as well as out basking.
Luckily, the next species we found was a new species of reptile for the day. With the temperature now approaching 20 degrees, I decided to go to the site of one of the northwales sandlizard populations, where I was rewarded with this stunning female sandlizard. It is against the law to capture, harm or disturb sandlizards, and so to ensure the animal wasn't disturbed, I used my maximum zoom lens to film this one, so again, apologies for the camera shake. Unsurprisingly, based on their name, sandlizards lay 5 to 10 eggs into the sand in June or July. Using sand as a substrate to incubate their eggs is a great tactic which allows this species to reproduce and maintain oviparity in our cooler climates. Sand lizards are stockier and slightly longer than common lizards. They're also much less abundant in Britain, and I was delighted to see this one as it was my first of the year. Well, I'm going to wrap up now. That's the end of that. I think that was a pretty good day. We did pretty well. The only thing we missed out on was the adders, which I would have put money on us getting today, but that's the way it goes. There's just no need for them to be around the sites where they emerge in spring at this time of year. That's all it is. There's still loads about. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Any questions at all about anything that you've seen today, pop them below. I'm more than happy to talk about anything. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope maybe you learned a thing or two, and I hope to see you next time.